This morning, President Trump reiterated that if he doesn't get his way on funding for the border wall, that is, if he doesn't win our present government shutdown, that he may be forced to do an end run around Congress and do it anyway. Americans should say, no, you won't. That's not because it's unreasonable to want a border wall. It's not. And it's not because it's unreasonable to dig in, as President Trump is, during budget negotiations. He has just as much right to do that as do the Democrats. The Democrats control the House. That holds the power of the purse, along with the Senate. Democrats don't have to do anything they don't want to. President Trump doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to. And if they both continue to refuse to compromise or to acquiesce, there will be a continued shutdown. That's all fine. It's not hostage taking. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the Republic. What is unreasonable, however, is to effectively look at this domestic policy dispute and say, well, that's all well and good, but if I don't get my own way, I'm going to do it anyway. It is just as unreasonable and just as unacceptable as it was when Barack Obama did it over DACA, when he didn't get his way on immigration reform and the DREAM Act. And it's just as unreasonable as it was in 2013 when President Obama said that he reserved the right to go into Syria even if Congress said that it did not approve. This is for two reasons. Firstly, because we know what Congress thinks about this. This is not some esoteric question. It is not an old question. The people involved can be reached for comment. The Democrats do not want to fund the border wall. Republicans may yet convince them. President Trump may yet broker a compromise, but he hasn't at the moment. And that means that if he goes ahead and does it anyway, he will be explicitly defying Congress. There are figures within Congress who want to fund the border wall. That is, of course, true. But Congress as a whole has not yet acted, and when Congress doesn't act, nothing happens. The second reason it's unreasonable is that the definition of crisis and emergency here is entirely divorced from the underlying statute. The reason Congress put in emergency provisions in a number of different statutes is that it was worried what might happen in an emergency. In other words, when Congress couldn't be consulted. Suppose the United States were invaded, there was a nuclear war, there was another 9/11. All of the electricity went out. Not if there was a domestic policy dispute that couldn't be satisfactorily resolved. We have emergency provisions because it is plausible that there might be a moment during which Congress can't be asked to make decisions, can't be asked to clarify itself, and that the president might have to act in those moments. We do not have emergency measures within our statutes so that the President of the United States can win domestic policy debates by ignoring Congress. And if we do, if that is what those emergency provisions have effectively become, if they are so badly drafted that courts couldn't properly mediate here and that the executive branch can drive a bus through the loopholes, then they have to go. We talk a lot in America about what Congress should be doing, whether a do-nothing Congress is a good or a bad thing. Well, one thing Congress should be doing is removing from the books all of these enabling acts, all of those provisions within the law that allow presidents to act unilaterally when they can't get Congress to acquiesce to their plans. If effectively Congress has delegated so much power to the executive that the executive can just tear up James Madison's Constitution and do what it wants, if they can always find a Jesuitical argument to justify going around the legislature, then the laws desperately need changing. And if they don't change, we're going to find ourselves here every couple of years.